And good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome to Casual Coffee with Ken. My name is Ken, and thanks for spending your Tuesday morning with me. No Ken in the Kitchen episode today. That will be back tomorrow. The new way I'm looking at doing the programming on this is going to be Ken in the Kitchen on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then Tuesday and Thursdays, it'll be back to this, just the good news stories and maybe occasional readings from one of Neil Gaiman's short stories, just to kind of break things up and to give me a little bit of a break. Because as I found out last week, it's kind of challenging to come up with new recipes to try in the kitchen every day. Yeah, and it's a lot of setup and tear down, and so just going to give myself a break 2 days a week, and do this relaxing single camera thing for a change on there. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. It's got to be better, right, than yesterday, because Monday it's over. Congratulations, you made it. If you're new here, I do see your comments on the monitor, so if you are watching maybe for the first time, let me know where in the world you're watching from, because for me that's the whole appeal of doing a live stream. It's more fun to actually interact with people rather than just do a video and there's no interaction. And I don't know, I like that. I love the fact that the internet is so good at bringing people closer together from all points of the globe. And it's great. I love that. I love technology. Technology, when used correctly, has the ability to just do amazing things, I think. I mean, the fact that your smartphone has more computing power than anything NASA had back in its heyday of moon missions. Just mind-boggling to me. It's great. I love it. Love tech. I once thought briefly about doing a tech review show, but that's handled. I mean, nobody needs another tech reviewer when you've got MKBHD, because he does it. I watch other reviewers too, but he's my favorite by far. He has it dialed in. There's no point in even going into that space to compete with him. So anyway, again, hope you're doing well. And so there's just a couple of stories that I thought were pretty cool that I wanted to share with you guys this morning. And good morning, Sean. Or as you spelled it out in all caps, morning. Yeah. Oh, I'm suffering today from Benadryl hangover, so sorry if I'm a little listless. But if I don't take the Benadryl at night, I can't breathe, so I don't sleep well. But then when I wake up the next day, Benadryl has a horrible half-life for me for some reason. So the rest of the day, I'm just going to be struggling to keep my eyes open no matter how much caffeinated tea I drink. But, the choice is not breathing. And so, yeah, there we go. Anyway, I will stop rambling. See, I told you I'm sleep deprived. I'm not sleep deprived. Benadryl, good stuff. Anyway, the news. Interesting stories. Let's have some. Okay, this first one, I'm always psyched when employers do the right thing by the people who work for them. And this is a good example of that, I think, because when we think of musicians, especially the professional, really popular musicians, I don't think a lot of people take into account how big of an organization those singers have around them. They employ a good amount of people, of staff. And as you might expect with the quarantine, people aren't touring. And so it's really hitting those sectors, those job sectors hard. And so I was really impressed that Kenny Chesney, whom he's country music, I think. Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't follow country music, but I think he is country music. But he went on record as saying that he's going to pay his crew, his staff, for the rest of the year, despite the fact they're not going to be touring at all, probably. And apparently, there's a really good article over on the LA Times. He has 120 employees, and he's not going to have to let anybody go this year. And as he put it, it's very expensive. He didn't want to get into exact numbers, but it is a lot of money. And the initial shock of it kind of stunned him. And for him, he's just going to alter his lifestyle so he can afford to pay his crew for the rest of the year. Because as the interviewer at the LA Times pointed out, it's hard to know when 80,000 people will be eager to jam into a football stadium. And as he replied, there's nobody to look to for that answer. There's, quote, no wise old man in all of this. So yeah, I thought that was great. Like I said, I'm not a country music person. Doesn't matter, because this is awesome. This is an amazing act of kindness and thoughtfulness. He's stepping up to help the people who help him earn his livelihood. Because without those 120 people, he doesn't have a tour on a normal year, right? There's a lot of work that goes into developing a music career, and there's a lot of people that help that process in various ways. And so it's great that he has not forgotten that, and he's doing what he needs to do to make sure they're taken care of, and that's always commendable, no matter who you are. It's great. So anyway, I liked it. I wanted to share that with you. Stories like that just give me the feels. It's good stuff. Like it. All right. So next story. It's a good news, bad news kind of thing. I try to stay away from bad news. But we have to talk about it because it's real, it's happening, and it's something we need to think about. And that's the fact that if there's any silver lining in all this, and this is a horrible time for so many families who have lost family members to COVID-19. I think Dan Rather said it best, that we can't forget that behind each of those numbers is an empty seat at a Thanksgiving table, a Christmas dinner guest not accounted for. I mean, there are real people behind those numbers, and so this is horrible what's happening. But it's good to recognize that there are some things that are coming out of this that maybe needed to happen and maybe need to continue happening if we want to be smart about where we go from here. So the pandemic has ended up having an effect on carbon emissions, taking them back to levels that have not been seen since 2006, which is great. And I think people are really having that hit home by some of these pictures that have been circulating about these giant metropolises that normally are barely visible through the smog and just clear skies everywhere. But unfortunately, it's not going to last unless we take steps to make it last. And I don't think a lot of people are interested in that, unfortunately. Um, so, yeah, in this very good article over on TheVerge.com, they talk about how the carbon dioxide levels uh, fell by 17% this April compared to the daily average for last year. So it's just amazing to look at that. And as the article points out, it's a real eye-opener uh, that shows just how much greenhouse gas emissions have grown since 2006. And it's only 14 years. And so a lot of the cuts in CO2 came from, as you would expect, manufacturing not being ramped up, power generation, and transportation and shipping. So, I mean, it's amazing. But it's temporary because this lockdown isn't going to continue forever, which means that businesses are going to start ramping up production again. There's going to be more shipping. There's going to be more cars on the road as people start going back to work in person. And they you know, once we get back to quote unquote business as usual, if we just go back to the way things were before the lockdowns, then over the entire year of 2020, we're looking at maybe a 4% reduction in CO2 emissions. So it's still better than it would have been without this pause in our commerce, you know. But yeah, still not sustainable unless there are some major permanent changes in the way we think about work and what it means to work and where that work should be done from. We'll see. I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen, is the thing. We're seeing states starting to open back up, and cases are starting to rise as they do this. We have to find a happy medium somewhere, but I think there are a lot of places that are just rushing to failure, unfortunately. And so there's going to be two casualties to that. One of those casualties will be 2 human lives, unfortunately. And then the secondary casualty is the planet, our ecosystem, which is going to cost more lives down the road if we don't do something about it. But, you know, there are levels, I guess. Gosh, I am sorry. I'm not being very uplifting this morning, am I? I should not do these shows when I'm hungover on Benadryl. It's great that it happened. It's great that the reduction in global emissions happened as a result of this horrible mess. I mean, it just kind of it shone a light on something that is a real problem, and it's a conundrum. I don't know what we're going to do. All right, this last story. This is definitely a good story. No downside to this whatsoever. This guy, I know you don't nominate people for Nobel Peace Prizes just casually, right? This guy, he's awesome. He's a doctor, and he does things a little bit differently. I don't know if any of you ever watched the show Everwood when it was on years ago. It was one of my favorite shows. And the main character is a brain surgeon whose wife dies in a single car accident, and he takes his kids to from New York City to this little town in Colorado called Everwood, and he sets up a practice there as just a general medicine doctor. And it's a small town. There's already a doctor in there, so of course there's going to be some conflict between the two doctors, especially since this world famous brain surgeon, Andy Brown, uh, is not charging anybody. He doesn't take insurance and he doesn't charge anybody anything for his services. This guy gets close to that, and it's really cool. Um, he does not accept insurance, and he charges a flat fee of $35 per appointment. It's uh, Dr. Timothy Wong, uh, and he's in Pittsburgh. And yeah, he doesn't take insurance, and he does not charge more than $35 for a visit. That's the lady who saw him, who's quoted in the article. Her name is Kim Stanley. She had to give up her medical insurance when she went to working for herself. And she did that to spend more time with her teenage daughters because she's a widow and she really wanted to be there for her girls. And so, yeah, $35 for an office visit is fantastic. So, what he's done is he set up what he calls a micro practice. And this is located, according to the article on WESA.fm, WESA. It's in the Pittsburgh neighborhood of East Liberty on Center Avenue, and he calls it the Eye Health Clinic. And he has no staff, so people check in and they sign in on the iPad that he has there in his waiting room. And, presumably they probably answer and do their intake on, digital forms on the iPad. But he doesn't take insurance, so they just check themselves into the clinic and they pay for the care at the iPad station, and it's just $35. And one of the reasons he's able to do this is because he has no staff. It's just him. He doesn't have a nurse. He does not have, at least the article doesn't make mention of him having a nurse, but he doesn't have a medical biller because he doesn't take insurance, so he doesn't have to code anything for insurance approval. And he said that is why he's able to do this at such a cost savings, because the amount of time and man hours and money it takes to submit and sometimes resubmit documentation to insurance companies is just a nightmare. There's a study that's referenced in the article where for every 1 hour of direct patient care that a doctor gives, they spend at least 2 hours doing paperwork that's all insurance related for that care. And every insurance company is just a little bit different in how they want that information sent to them, on what they require, on what they will or will not approve. So he just got rid of it, the whole thing. Now, there will obviously be some additional charges for things like blood work or whatever, if something like that has to be done, but still, $35. It's amazing. And let's see here. There is a lady quoted in the article named Julie Sikowski. She's a healthcare economist at Seton Hall University in South Orange, New Jersey. And she has researched how much it costs, doctors' offices, doctors' practices to spend on communicating with insurance companies. And her estimates put it somewhere, quote, between 10 and 20% of a practice's income. That's a huge chunk. So, so again, yeah, Dr. Wong doesn't employ a biller. He doesn't accept insurance, so he doesn't have a biller. He doesn't have a medical coder. And it's kind of a niche market. He doesn't really, I don't think he has any real competition in this space. And he's doing all this at a loss right now. So he's basically taken a huge cut to what most doctors make, right, in a year in order to do this. So if he was lucky and was seeing 20 patients a day, he would gross about 182 grand a year. And out of that, according to the article, he would have to cover his rent, right? Utilities, his malpractice insurance, and we've heard the horror stories, I'm sure you have as well, about how much malpractice insurance costs. And then he's got all of his medical supplies he's paying for, obviously, taxes, and then, whatever's left over for a salary. So since he's only averaging about 4 patients a day, he's nowhere near making money on this venture. He is lucky in that his wife's salary is making up the shortfall for this. But to him, it's worth it for him to forego having a salary right now just to do this. He's breaking even, and he's optimistic that things, the practice will pick up. So maybe I can't nominate him for a Nobel Prize, but can I nominate him for a knighthood? I mean, here's a guy who understands how crappy the current medical system is and just has chosen to forge a very a dramatically different path towards providing services. And I get it, not all doctors could afford to do this, and he can't really technically afford it. It's only because they have dual income that they can do this. But that's amazing. That's wonderful that he's doing it anyway. And I think as more people learn about this practice, he's not going to have a problem eventually getting to that 20 patient per day census. I think he's going to hit that pretty quickly, especially since his local newspapers and such are starting to talk about him more. So it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love that he's doing it. I love that he even thought to do it in the first place. It just goes to show you that that not everybody's end all be all goal is to make money at all costs. Some people see that there needs to be a balance in making money but giving back somehow to the community. Love it. I love this guy. He clearly is in his chosen field for what I would consider to be the best of reasons, and that's to be of service to the people he's there to take care of. It's beautiful. Love it. Absolutely love it. So yeah, those are the stories I wanted to share with you today. I think that was a fun little selection there. I liked it. I was going to do a reading from one of Neil Gaiman's short stories today, but we're just about 5 minutes away from the cutoff time anyway. And considering how Benadrylled up I am at the moment, I would probably mangle the whole thing anyway. So I'm just gonna end it here, I think. And yeah, I hope you're doing well. I'm really not. I know it probably seems like I'm down. I'm not. I'm just I'm just mellow because of the stupid antihistamine. And trust me, I've tried the non-drowsy ones. There's something in there that I don't know what it is that's doing it, but I get affected the same way. It's not as intense. Like if I use the Claritin or whatever, it doesn't quite knock me as loopy as the Benadryl does, but there's something in there that just, I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you so much for spending your morning with a weird guy in Reno who just likes to ramble to people on the internet. I hope you liked the stories. If you did, do me a favor after the episode is done. There will be a link that you can share out. Do that if you liked it. If you did like it and you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, like. If you're on Periscope, I don't know, whatever you do over there to show approval. You know what's weird? I just picked up my guitar for the first time in probably more than 10 years last Thursday, and just started playing it again. And already I'm getting the calluses are coming back really fast. I'm impressed by that. I think that's really fun. That's been fun. That's what I did over my weekend. I've been practicing my guitar and doing vocal exercises again. So, yeah, gonna try something with that, I think. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a great Tuesday. I will see you back here tomorrow at 9:30 Pacific time for an episode of Ken in the Kitchen. I have this really interesting cold noodle dish that I'm going to attempt with a slight modification to the recipe. Hope you'll be here for that. But until then, as always, take care of yourself, stay healthy, be kind to yourself, and be kind to others because kindness absolutely matters, well, now more than ever. All right. Take care, everybody.